All right, welcome to the last episode of 2024 of Changing Minds and Changing Lives podcast. My name is Julie Sowash. I am the executive director and one of the co-founders of Disability Solutions. And just kind of thinking about wrapping up 2024 and looking into 2025, we have had so many awesome conversations in 2024. And people I never would have imagined to meet, never would have been engaged with if it wasn't for this podcast and the opportunity to meet new people. So as we're planning 2025 and the conversations we want to have, we would love to hear from you, our listeners, our viewers, and friends. What are some topics or guests you want to hear from and about in 2025? You know, what amazes me about the world of disability is it's so big. There are so many of us, and there are so many people in our community that are just doing incredible work that there's no way for me to know all of the work that's happening. And I know that you all know so many people in our community, and we would love to know the ones that you're most interested in so we can meet them and get them scheduled to have amazing conversations with us about changing minds and changing lives in 2025. So you guys know where to find me: LinkedIn, email, disabilitytalent.org. Give us some guest names. But as we wrap up 2024, I get the honor of having another great guest that I never would have had the opportunity to meet if it wasn't for this podcast. So let's introduce Dr. Lucy Reynolds, who is the founder and managing director of We Are All Disabled. Dr. Reynolds, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi there, Julie.
We are so excited to have you. I was just saying before we started recording, I've been spending a little time on your website, and it's just so well done. And I love the quotes that are on it and the way that you kind of set everything up on We Are Disabled. But before we get into that, tell me about Dr. Lucy Reynolds.
I'm Dr. Lucy Reynolds. I'm a social entrepreneur, public speaker, a proud advocate for disability rights. As you said, I'm founder and director of We All Disabled CC, and I'm chair of the charity Disability Laws. I've had a portfolio all of my life, and just like the colour of my eyes and the love of dogs, it is an intrinsic part of who I am. I did a PhD in perception of disability. I really wanted to get myself out there as a public speaker to change the narrative around disability. I think I wanted to, my mission and my passion is to challenge and change perceptions of disability.
Oh, amazing. And so let me say this a different way. So your PhD research was inspired by how people perceive disability?
It was inspired by my own lived experience of disability, both positive and negative. And I really wanted to do this research into why people perceive disability in the way that they do, because I think it's the same person. People see people because I have cerebral palsy, and it's very visible. I have involuntary movements. I use the wheelchair, as you can see it, as you can hear by speech practices. And I really wanted to get my understand people's biases about unintentional biases around the way that people think about disability. So I did this research into it and what came up with, and I used a tool called the Affirmative Model of Disability. Now, yeah, I'm sure you must have all heard of the social model around disability, and that's around reasonable adjustment and have access and attitudinal barriers and physical barriers. But the first model of disability is somewhat different. It's a non-tragic view of disability, and it's embracing the positives in disability, in disability, and it's thinking about it's just changing the narrative around it and look at and seeing disability as a positive thing, both collectively and individually.
Uh, so this is it, and I was reading this on your website. So we talk a lot about, there's the medical model of disability, there's the social model of disability. We even, for some work we did last year, talked about the biopsychosocial model of disability. And so there are so many ways of talking about it. But what I love with what you're speaking of is the affirmative model. And
Yeah,
and I think we've talked about it that way when we're just chatting, but to like sort of put a nomenclature around it, that this is an affirmative model, that you're not broken, that this is intrinsic to who you are, and having people with disabilities in our world is a positive
it's a
thing.
positive thing. We should all see. We should all be part of it because it's about closing the boundary divide between disabled people and non-disabled people. People, more than 4 people are disabled. We are all going to experience disability at some point in our lives, whether that's direct or indirect. So let's embrace it. And the idea, I set up for the blog because because in 2020 when I wanted to go out there as a public speaker, it was like COVID happened, and 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 of course everything was cancelled almost speaking occasions. So the blog we all disabled, so the title we all disabled came up for a blog because what better time was it to say we were all marginalised from society in some way? And for me, that gave people more empathy and more understanding of what it could be like to be disabled. And we can be disabled by all kinds of things, physical, mental health. My colleague who I work with, she has anxiety, for some days it's harder for her to get out of the house, and that that is the same thing. And it's just really interesting to look at it that way.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. We really saw during the pandemic people who don't have disabilities that prevent them from being out of the house and doing things. Everyone learned what it was like to lose control of some of the environment around you.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted to go out, we wanted to do things, but the environment was not built for us to do so during COVID. And for me and the companies and the people that we work with, that opened up conversations that I don't know that we ever would have had.
Yeah.
With the abled community, if it wasn't for the pandemic and what happened with our ability to move around.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. So, I think it just gave people a different way to think about how we're all living during that time.
And I also appreciate you calling out the mental health side, mental health disabilities, because again, those are
Then
e-
the
even in our own community, a lot of times mental health disabilities get dismissed.
mm,
And for you to talk about them inclusively is very meaningful to me.
and then they're not visible and people don't see it, and but people don't see how people are feeling on a daily basis. So, and I think because the blog was so well received, we set up We Ought to Say it as a kick in community interested company in 2021. And we're looking, we have what we call a description for workshops, which explores perceptions, attitudes, behaviours, and disrupt the narrative around disability to create real positive change.
Yes.
And in these workshops organized, we do it in a safe and supportive space where people can speak their truth and
Yes.
get comfortable with being comfortable. And the conversations that all, because I present my findings for research, but
Uh-huh.
I also talk about my own experience of disability and the way, the way that I participate. For example, I have 24, I live on my own with a poodle and I have 24-hour sports. And I talk about, all these attitudes that I experience on a daily basis. And that really encourages people to open up and be honest about their own situations and get comfortable with being comfortable. And the idea behind it, we work with organisations, both at the moment we work more in the corporate sector, but we will you know widen our reach, and it's because people want to they either want to put more to sit with people or they want to better support the disabled people within their organisation and they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And you know what, Judy? The simplest thing is to be able to be confident, to have that conversation and just ask.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
ask, what do you need?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
ask, how do you feel? Can I
And
help you? Can I help you?
yeah, and people are so scared.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
people are so scared because there's so much openness
Uh-huh.
around disability. And I know for my own disability, people would rather shy. People would rather, if people don't understand, simply don't understand what I'm saying. And I think that they would rather just like avoid having the conversation, walk away, rather than say to me, hey, Lucy, sorry I didn't catch that. Could
Right.
you please repeat it?
Yeah.
How
And
easy is that?
yes, and and that's the thing that I think is that we're missing so much is that those uncomfortable conversations and one of, just being comfortable to say, "Can you say that again?" By avoiding those, we're missing all of these amazing relationships in our lives and in
Yeah,
our
yeah.
workplaces because we're just not sure. And I know I everyone has their own biases and we all get uncomfortable with certain things whether it's disability or not. And sometimes we have to force ourselves into those conversations because we're never going to get comfortable if we are not willing to just
Oh,
be patient with ourselves and have time to learn about others.
mm-hmm. And it's so important to do it.
Hmm. So I love the disruptor challenge, and that's kind of what you've been telling about us and or telling us about. And one thing that you said that I love is just an opportunity to tell their truth. And I think as a person with a disability, as people with disabilities, we have to also allow people who are not disabled to say things that we're uncomfortable with. That
Uh,
they
uh,
Go ahead.
absolutely, and that's really important. Um, yeah, um, let me talk about the word inspiring. So I received one inspiring female award from the Northeast Chamber of Commerce, within the Regis Small Business, so the Business Awards. Now I've got to get comfortable with this word inspiring. They're the same person. There's lots of things about inspirational porn. But the same people, people think you're inspiring because you're like, you get up in the morning, you take your dogs for a walk, or you can cook a meal, or, or you just manage these day-to-day tasks. And I find that very uncomfortable with saying that was inspiring. So when I got this award, actually I've revised it and put a blog about it this week, which we'll go next week. And I got this award, I thought to myself, I need to embrace this inspiring people because I am inspired
Yes.
because of what I'm doing to help both disabled and non-disabled people to have a better understanding of a disability, a better awareness around our training program, then disability awareness training with a difference. So it's really important to embrace that, because I'm one of the most this year. I'm one of the most inspiring people in the Northeast, females in the Northeast business community. That is quite inspiring, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I mean, seriously, I love it. I got your got it, just a little snippet. So the Northeast Chamber of Commerce in the UK um, gave you an inspiring female
You
award.
know,
So I love that because you not only get to showcase the amazing work you're doing in the disability community, but you're also a female business leader,
business owner,
entrepreneur.
yeah,
So you've got like all of these identities that are a part of you that you're being not recognized for, but recognized for your impact. And all the other women who are also disabled or not disabled get to see what it's like to see another female leader
yeah,
in their community.
in
And I
that
mean, I'm all
community,
about the girl
yeah,
power and the
yeah.
disability power. So
Yeah,
I
and
love
then,
it.
and then, and then, and isn't that great for inclusivity within the business community?
So you've got a really good business community. That, I mean, that's amazing, and that's something that
That
we
shows
don't
how
all have.
inclusive we are here in the Northeast of
Uh,
England in the business community.
okay. Do you feel like your part of England does better than maybe like the South or central parts in inclusion?
I haven't really thought about it like that. Um, I just thought it's something to shout about within the Northeast business community.
Okay. Awesome. So let me go back just a little bit. What I would love, since we got into the conversation about you being the founder and the managing director of We Are All Disabled, how did you come to start We Are Disabled, and why did you decide to take that journey as a female business leader?
Because I wanted to get my voice out there. After my PhD research, I wanted to get my voice out there, and I wanted to change how people think about disability. So like I said, it started at the blog, and the blog was so well received that we set it up in 2021. We set it in 2021 as a movement for positive change.
That's great. So you started in 2021. And that really then now you're doing the Disruptor Challenge, you're doing speaking outside of the Disruptor Challenge, and using your research to really drive home the need for change.
Yeah, so the disruptive workshops are workshops that we run with individual organizations, and they're used to discuss, to change the narrative around disability.
No, that's fantastic. So what do you have planned for 2025?
2025 to move this disruptive program forward even more, and push it out to the charitable organizations, organizations, corporates, uh, and, and you know, um, both locally and nationally. Our ultimate aim is to have a global movement which is founded in the northeast of England.
So we always love to end our podcast with two questions. And I never tell the two questions first unless you've listened, then you'll know. The first question is what is one thing that you would tell a business leader that would help change their minds about people with disabilities and our value in their workforce?
I would tell them to get in touch, to get in touch, and sign up for our disruptive workshops, because they really are changing how you think about disability.
And last question, what is something that someone did for you in your journey that helped change your life?
Gave me the confidence to get myself out there, and knowing within the business community.
Amazing. So, Dr. Lucy Reynolds, if someone wants to connect with you, where should they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn and also my website, wearealldisabled.org.
Wearealldisabled.org. So, thank you so much for helping me wrap up 2024 on the Changing Minds, Changing Lives podcast. It has been such a pleasure, Dr. Reynolds, and I'm sure that we will follow your work. Congratulations on your award, and thank you for showing young women and women with disabilities what it's like to get out there and have that confidence and give us that inspiration, which is very positive inspiration. So you guys, thank you so much. Happy 2025. We can't wait to see you. Send us people you want to talk to, topics you want to talk about in 2025, and we will make sure it happens. Until next year, thanks for joining us.